Hi guys, back again with another grammatical thing that might interest you. This time we're going to be talking about conditionals. Conditionals are probably more familiar to you by the name of if clauses. Conditionals consist of two types of sentences: an if clause, which states a condition, and a main clause, which states the consequence. The two types of sentences are interchangeable, which means the if clause can come either at the beginning of a sentence or at the end. When it is at the beginning, you use a comma after it. If it comes at the end, then there is no comma because the eternal rule says no comma in front of if. Okay? And something that you know is there are different types of conditional clauses. And let's move on to the first type of sentence, which is the type of if clauses that present eternal truths, as I like to call them. And they use the present tense in both clauses. So here comes the first eternal truth. If plants don't get enough water, they die, which is a truth. You can use when instead of if here, because when follows the same grammatical pattern, and you can say the same sentence using when at the beginning. So when plants don't get enough water, they die, which means exactly the same as if plants don't get enough water, they die. The two conjunctions, if and when, cannot always replace one another. Yeah? There are types of sentences in which if is compulsory and when has a different meaning. Here you can use either if or when. So let's come to the next type of if clause. It is the one that you may know better by the type 1 conditional clauses. It uses the present tense in the if clause and a future tense in the main clause. Or it may also use a modal verb in the main clause or an imperative. Okay? Let's look at the three examples that I've brought you. If the government doesn't change course, things will get worse. So, if the government doesn't change course now, things will get worse in the future. So, the consequence is expressed by will future, and the condition is expressed by present tense and says, now, if something doesn't happen now, there will be a consequence in the future. If the government doesn't change course, things will get worse. Or, as I said, you can also use a modal verb. Modal verbs can, may, might, any such modal can be used. I've brought you an example using can hear. If I see her, I can give her your message. You can also say, I will give her your message, but that changes the meaning just slightly. I can give her your message, meaning I can do this and probably I'm willing to do this. If you have any problems, give me a call, which is an imperative. If you want to use a negation, you can use if not, such as in, you can't park here if you don't have a permit. Then you have the negation here, you don't have, if you don't have. You can also use this word. I don't know how familiar you are with this conjunction unless. Unless means if not, but then please be aware of the fact that if you use unless, there is no negation in the following main clause, in the following sentence here in this clause. So you can park here unless you have a permit. By the way, this is the main clause. You can park here unless you have a permit. If you don't have a permit. Okay, so, and now we move on to the second conditional that you probably may know by the name of type 2. You use this type of conditional to talk about things that are not a reality, impossible, now, in the present. Or you express something that is possible, but highly unlikely to happen in the future. You would use the past tense in the if clause and would plus infinitive in the main clause. For example, if you had a sister, but you don't have a sister, I know that, would you feel differently? If we won the lottery, and there is just a very, very wild chance, we would never work again. So the first sentence here is this type of condition. It is not real. You don't have a sister. And then we speculate. Would you feel? Yes, no, rubber tree. And the second, something that is possible but unlikely in the future, is this type of sentence. If we won the lottery, would be nice. There is a small chance. And then we can say, well, but then we would never work again. No, we would leisure ourselves to whatever, some people say, to death. And there is a third type of conditional, and this is probably the type that you know by the name of type 3. You use the third conditional to talk about something that was possible in the past, but didn't happen. You use the past perfect in the if clause and would have plus past participle. I usually call this the conditional perfect because have plus past participle form the perfect tense. And would plus perfect is the conditional perfect. Okay? So if I had known about the party, I would have come. Conditional perfect. Okay. Now, I would like to make a remark here, something that is not on the smart board here, but I would like to point this out to you anyway. And that is, you find a lot of American native speakers using would in if clauses. This is the German heritage. Because we in German use würde in a lot of if clauses. Wenn ich das herausfinden würde, oder wenn ich dich jetzt besuchen würde, dann würde es am Ende des Tages sehr spät für mich werden. In German, we use würde a lot in wenn-Sätzen, Konditionalsätzen. This is something that was taken to America by German immigrants, and it has made inroads into American English. But it is considered incorrect English by educated speakers of English. And not only in America, also in, let's say, world English. So you want to avoid this, even though a lot of people say this and you hear this all over the place, but you want to avoid using would in if clauses. Not only because it is incorrect English, but also we teachers are so mean as to mark this as a grammatical mistake. And if you want to avoid grammatical mistakes, then you want to avoid if in an if would in an if clause. All right? So this was just one of my many asides. And now I would like to draw your attention to the mixed type of conditionals, which are probably the majority of conditional clauses. The mixed conditionals are conditionals that use the second and the third type of conditionals. Because something that might have happened in the past may have or might have had a consequence in the present. For example, if you had remembered to phone her, she would be here now. If he had got on that plane, he'd be here now. All right, I just removed the triangle from the flip chart, and therefore I had to switch this off for a moment. And now you see the full sentence and can read each and every word. This is only a very short overview of the type of conditionals that you're going to be teaching during English classes. This is not a comprehensive coverage of the grammatical rules. There is a little more to it than that. And I meant this to be concise and as precise as it can be. Did you hear that? My cats are running amok. Oh yes. Now while I'm filming this here, my cats are running amok. Unbelievable. Okay, what I was going to say was, please, if you need a full and comprehensive coverage of conditional clauses, please turn to a comprehensive grammar book to study this type of these type of sentences in depth. Okay, this is no more and no less than a brief and short overview. That's for now. Stay safe, enjoy your day, and we see each other again. I guess I have to make an ambulance run because my cats are wreaking havoc.